All right, today we're going to look at solving rational equations. So we're going to look at a couple different ways of solving them. Our first is we're going to solve rational equations by using an idea called cross multiplying. Okay, and then we're going to solve using a least common denominator. Okay, and then we're going to look at that idea of inverses of functions, talking about up here at the beginning. Okay, so first things first, how does cross multiplying work? So here, how does cross multiplying work? So let's just start by looking at a very basic fraction. So if I have the fraction a over b, and I have that proportion, it's equal to c over d. Well, I can multiply, if I multiply both sides by the product of our denominators. So if we look at this denominator here, and this denominator here, and if I multiply both sides by those denominators, so let's multiply both sides by bd, and this side by BD. Okay, and we can think of it as over 1. Okay, so over here on the left-hand side, right here, okay, my b's will divide out. So this b will divide with that b to make 1, and I'm just left with a times d. And on the other side, this d will divide out with that d and make 1. So then I'm just left with c times b. Overwrite that as b times c. So really what we did here is I took this a and multiplied it by the d. Again, that's where this guy came from. And then I took, let's go green, I took this b and multiplied it by that c, and that's where that bc comes from. So really what I did is in a process we call cross multiplying. So I took the a times the d and the c times the b and set them then equal to each other. Okay, so we can actually solve equations by using this method of cross multiplying. So here I can take the 2 times the 3x plus 2. Okay, so we'll take 2 times 3x plus 2, again times that whole thing. Okay, and then we would take the 10 times the x plus 2. So these two products then have to be equal to each other. So then now we distribute 2 times the 3x, we get 6x. The 2 times the 2, which is 4, equals, and then here we'd have the 10 times the x, which is 10x, plus the 10 times the 2, which is 20. So I have 6x plus 4 equals 10x plus 20. I'm going to subtract this 6x from both sides. So I subtract the 6x from both sides. On the left side I have 4. On the right side I'd have 10 minus the 6x is 4x plus 20. I'm now going to subtract that 20 from both sides. 4 minus 20 is negative 16. And then divide both sides by the 4. X is equal to negative 4. Okay, so then again, x is equal to negative 4. So again, I can come in and I can substitute. I can substitute this negative 4 right here back inside this equation for the x's, that x and that x. Okay, so substitute that back up into there, and the two fractions will be equal. Okay, so now if you look down here, okay, there are two problems here that say your turn. So now I want you to do these your turn. Solve the equation by cross multiplying, and then very quickly check your solution in your calculator to make sure that it works. Okay, so pause the video and do those two. All right. Okay, now that you've had a little time to practice cross multiplying, we're going to look at a new method, and that's by using least common denominator, the LCD. The LCD is useful when I don't have a fraction equal to another fraction. Like in this case, I don't just have one fraction equal to another fraction. Here, extra example 3a, this one right here. Okay, I have a 3 over x plus 5 over 2. Did I get my pointer? No. Okay. I have a 3 over x. Here, let's zoom in so we just talk about this one problem. 3 over x plus 5 over 2 equals negative 12 over x. So I actually can't use cross multiplying on this one. Not until if I was to take these two fractions right here and add them, get a common denominator and add them, I could use cross multiplying, but that requires a lot of work. So instead, what I'm going to do is I am going to look at my denominators and figure out what would my least common denominator be between my x, my 2, and my x. So my common denominators, I'm going to need an x to take care of this guy right here and this guy right here. And I'm going to need a 2 to take care of that one, this one right here. So I'm going to need a 2 and an x. So my least common denominator is a 2x. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to take both sides of this equality and multiply by 2x. So I'm going to take this side, I'm going to multiply by 2x. So 2x times 3 over x plus 5 over 2 equals, and now I'm going to take this side and multiply by 2x. Sorry, 2x times negative 12 over x. So then now we're just going to do some multiplying. So I'm going to distribute that 2x in. So if I distribute that 2x in, I would have, let's go 6x over x plus, distribute that in there, 10x over 2 equals, multiply that, negative 24x over x. Now if you notice now when I simplify, okay, this x and this x here divide out to make 1. 2 goes into 10 5 times, and this x and this x divide out to make 1. So I'm left with, move over a little bit, all I'm left with in that first term there is a 6 plus 5x equals negative 24. Well, that's pretty straightforward to solve. I'm going to subtract that 6 from both sides. So 5x equals negative 30. Then divide both sides by the 5. X then would equal negative 6. Okay. And again, if I check this guy back up in this original equation for those x's, okay, you'll find out that you will get negative 6 will work. So there's my solution there. X equals negative 6. Okay, next example. Sorry, goes up a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to do 3b. Okay, so first of all, I want to write everything as a fraction. So I'm going to write this as 1 over 1. Okay, and now we need common denominators. So we need to find the least common denominator. So this is where things can get tricky. I'm going to need an x to take care of that guy. And then I'm going to need an x minus 4. That's one entire factor. I'm going to need an x minus 4. So my least common denominator ends up being x minus 4. So I need to take both sides and multiply by x minus 4. So we're going to take x minus 4, and multiply by this whole side. So we'd have 1 equals, and then we're going to have to take x minus 4, and multiply times the other side, which is 4 over x. Okay, so now if we distribute, so if I take this whole thing times that, I'm going to have x times x minus 4, so multiplying by 1, minus x minus 4 times 2 all over x minus 4 equals x minus 4 times 4 all over x. Now again, if we do some simplifying, well, this is over 1, so that won't simplify, but this x minus 4 will divide out to 1. Okay, this x and this x will divide out to 1. So now we just need to do some distributing. Let's distribute that in. We'll have x squared minus 4x. Now here we'd have minus, we've got this 2 and this x, so minus 2x equals, now over here, distribute that 4 in, 4x minus 16. Okay, all right, so now here, we've got a quadratic, it's got an x squared in it, so we're going to need to get everything to one side. So I'm going to subtract the 4x and subtract the 16. X squared minus 8, oh wait, nope. Oh, I deleted the x. Negative 4x minus 2x is negative 6x, minus 4x would be negative 10x, and then plus 16 equals 0. Okay, let's see if this guy right here will factor. X and x. Let's see. What multiplies to give me this guy adds to give me this one right here. All right, so let's see. 16, let's go. 16 over here, we've got 1 and 16. Nope, 2 and 8. That'll work, both negative. So x minus 2 equals 0, or x minus 8 equals 0, x equals 2, or x equals 8. So there's actually two numbers that will work in this situation, 2 and 8. So we come up here and we would double check to see if 2 works. I think it will. We'd have 1 minus 2. Yep. 1 minus a negative 2. Oops, sorry about that. I need to turn my notifications off. Okay, so 2 or 8. The two solutions that will work. Okay, so all right, we've got one more example here before we do some your turn problems. Okay, and this is where it's a lot harder to see right off what to use for a common denominator. Okay, so, and I notice that things factor. This denominator right here will factor, its difference of squares. I think this guy will too. So let's go ahead and let's factor them. So let's see, my 4x is still my numerator. My denominator, that would be x plus 3, x minus 3. X minus 1. Let's look at this denominator. This would be x and x multiplies 9, negative 6, negative 3, and negative 3. Okay, so now deciding what our common denominator is. Well, I'm going to need an x plus 3 for that guy, but that will also take care of that one there. So I'm going to need an x plus 3. So my common denominator, zoom out a little bit, is going to have to be x plus 3 for one of them. And then I'm going to need an x minus 3 to take care of that guy, but that will take care of one of those. But I also have one other x minus 3 that we haven't done anything with, so I'm going to need another x minus 3. So I'm going to need 2 x minus 3s and an x plus 3. Okay, so that's what I want to multiply both sides by. So basically, so I'm going to take this entire side right here, and multiply by that. Okay. And then I will take this entire side and multiply by this as well. Okay. All right, so what I want you to do is I want you to finish that extra example 4, okay, and then do these your turn problems, 3, 4, and 5, and then we will, in a separate short video, I will deal with extra example 5 and 6.